I agree with you that men typically don't care about sexual access, how they get their sexual asset access. That kind of is in tune with what the manosphere does say when they talk about single mothers just being for recreational use. In that context, I think what the discrepancy is. I think a lot of men do care about, especially if it's their first child, fathering it with someone who does not have kids. I don't know if you have the numbers for how many of those women have men by the same, how many of those women have children by the same man. We had a guy come on the other day that had 18 kids, so he would overcompensate for the amount of men that would be impregnating women to make that argument. You understand?
No, I
No,
get
I
I
get
get
I
that.
get that.
Okay.
But my point is, my entire point is this: if these men really didn't care about single, like if they really didn't want to have children with single mothers, then these women would not have two or more children by multiple men still. That was my point. The point is, before we bash women, like someone said in the comments, as men, just take a look at yourself first.
Yeah, so I agree with you that we shouldn't just be bashing women. That's
And that's
never
all I mean. That's all I'm
that's
getting
not
at.
where I'm coming from. I was just saying if we was to dispute those numbers, one guy could be, hypothetically, right? One guy could potentially be responsible for every single mother having their second baby in the city. Because we can 2, 3 babies, 4 babies a day. Because we not
Yeah, but that don't really. But in the real world, that don't happen. You have only. I think in that study, only 20. I want to say only 20, or it was either 20 or 28. I have to find it, but I think only 20 or 28% of men had all of their children with one woman. In the study that was pulled by the university, that was conducted, rather, excuse me, by the University of Michigan, which
I think
is where the inspiration for that video came from. Because we can't we have to get out of this lie that single mothers really are just for recreational use. Because recreation means recreation. It don't mean creating a family. It don't mean
right.
creating
No, I
right. That's
gotta
not what it
disagree
means.
with that, man. And that was something that's why
Recreational use means we clapping cheeks and sliding, not not
and
staying
that's what
around
that
eating up the
is.
baby
That
snack.
doesn't have to do. That doesn't change if she's gonna get pregnant or not. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that's not gonna change if she keeps it or not. As a man, you don't
Men
even have
control
the decision.
pregnancy.
Hold on. You don't even have the decision to decide on if she's going to do that or not. That is
Yeah, you do.
recreation. And
Yeah,
then
you do.
how?
You do have the
How you
choice.
can't? No, you can't tell her she's
All
going to
you
have
got to
that child
do, all you
regardless.
have to
It's her
do is
choice,
not
right?
bust the
It's her
inside
body,
of.
her choice. So you don't have an opportunity
No.
to even
You miss.
decide on that. You're
It's
going
her
to
body, her
what
choice,
I'm
but you get to decide where you plant your seed. If you don't want her to
and
be
what
to
I'm
even have a
saying is
chance to be a mama,
recreational
then do
use.
one of two things. If you don't want this woman to be a
When
mother,
we say
wrap that
recreational
up,
use, what we're
or it.
referring to is that it's not somebody that is going to become a wife. It's not somebody that is going to be taken seriously. And a lot of times that's because she already has a baby daddy or two. And that's why we say those women are usually recreational use.
But
Because
my
you
point
didn't marry
is,
one of those two brothers, why you gonna marry me?
but
I'm
my
not
point
taking
is
care of
this.
those
Bilal,
kids.
Bilal, even in that example, right? It's
Mhm.
still pertinent on us that we make sure that we don't bust in a woman we don't want to have a
That's
kid
all I'm
with.
saying.
That's
Literally,
that's what I'm
like
saying.
this
I know
this
you agree with
idea,
that too.
this
You agree with
this
that
Right.
too.
idea
But
that women have
you
all of
also
the
got to remember
power. No.
exactly,
This
but
idea that women have all of the
they're also
power
picking the
is
same top 25, 30% of men. There's a whole large percent of men that don't get none at all. Right?
that's
They're
not
not
true.
being looked at
As
because
men get older, that's not
that is
true. That's
that is
not true.
absolutely true.
No, it is
Listen, man,
not.
listen.
If
I
you look
talk
at
to
the
plenty
if
of women every
again,
day.
going back to my original point, if you look
You
at the
contradicting
you look at
yourself.
the amount of men by the time they reach age 40. Again, look this up. This is no bullshit. Look up right now. By the time a black man reaches age 40, how many children does he have? That number is between 2.4 and 2.6. You look at the same number. By age 40, how many children do women have? The number is between 2.2 and 2.1.
Yeah,
So
but
by the time
also
a black
those are
man has reached his financial peak, he has around the same number of kids as a black woman of the same age. So
yeah,
that
but
is
also
That's
bullshit.
not the argument. The argument is
those
what
men
Yeah,
aren't
percentage.
but,
taking
I
over
mean,
their
but people are
With
having
those
all their
guys,
kids before 40 anyway.
Right. It's
So like,
nobody
My
after that
point,
really
the
having
point I'm
kids.
making
So
is all of what you're saying about women having the power and women, my body, my choice. They don't get they don't get the ability to say my body, my choice if you just don't bust inside of them.
but that's not the again, these same women that are having children, multiple children by different men. What I'm saying is those different men are still the same 30% of men. There's a large percentage of men that get
20.
no ass.
In no
Period.
way does that
They don't
refute the
have
truth
an
of my statement.
opportunity.
None of these women would have
Listen,
be moms if
what
if
I'm
the men
saying
didn't
is
bust
the
them.
majority But again, like you was telling Kenny to let you finish, you're gonna do me the same solid, right? What I'm saying is there's a large percentage, which goes back to the picking. Who are these women choosing to have sex with? Right? It's the same. What's the 60% of incarcerated males that you were talking about? That's what I'm saying. It goes back to the picking of who you having sex with. Now, if you were not looking at the gentleman that checks all these boxes, then you'd be in a much better position to possibly have a better home life. But you're picking the same top 25% of men that running through everything anyway, that's getting locked up. So what we need to do is pick better, stop letting yourself get impregnated by just anybody, and then present yourself on a better scale. So that way you're in a better position to build a real family. Plain and
But
simple.
again, even to the 30% of men
Yeah,
that you're talking
you
about,
passing off
none of the
accountability at
problems
that point,
that
bro.
we are speaking on, none of these problems that we're speaking on would be an issue if we just wrapped it up. Even to that 30% of men, like that's what I'm not understanding. I tell people this all the time in my content, because if you've watched me for any length of time, there's a reason I only have one child. It would like we can't just push pregnancy responsibility completely on the woman when she doesn't get the right to say my body, my choice. If we don't give her that right by planting a seed in her soil, so if she's truly for recreational use, wrap that up. That's all I'm getting at. I don't care
Here's
if it's
the issue.
20% of
Hold on,
men,
hold on, hold
10%.
on. The problem with that, right, is that those particular dudes, those degenerates and shit like that, they don't give a damn. They're not listening to us, right? They're not on a podcast. They're not complaining about it. The women are. These women who are having this issue, they're complaining. So they care. So guess what? If this is a problem for you, then you need to be the one that's held responsible for it. These dudes that's doing this flyby shit, they don't give a damn about nobody. They're going to just go away and impregnate another one and another one and another one like they DJ Khaled. They don't give a fuck. So what I'm saying is the ones who care, which are these women who are complaining about it and they don't want to be recreational use and everything else, because it's very different for a man. If I have a couple of kids, the woman is not going to care nearly as much. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. But a man does. That's why we're not saying that forget men's responsibility. I just said a whole bunch of things, right, that they would consider to be egregious. I don't appreciate men who do like that or make us look like that. I dig it. However, this is more of a problem for a female because they're going to bear the burden of it. They're going to be the ones who are going to have it much more difficult to find a mate. They're the ones who's going to have to take care of the child physically and be there the whole time because getting impregnated by these losers. Guess what? That's your problem. It's not really bothering those guys. So, and they're not listening to us or anyone for that matter. Those are degenerates we're talking about that don't care about starting families. And the only other thing that I wanted you to point out was I know you mentioned that by the time people are 40, after the 25 bracket, what percent of those men are actually with the 2.4 kids are having children with a family? Because I have two kids, but mine is with my wife. What does that look like for those dudes that are waiting until they are older? Because more so than not, it's likely that they would be more responsible. And the problem is not them having the kids, but how many women are they having those kids with? And are they
It's
out of
around
wedlock?
30% of around 30% of men that are able to have their children with one woman that they actually marry. It's around 30%.
Okay.
All right,
Around the 40 age range.